The softball talk, end of the season wrap up for the Jags. Finally back in studio, Coach.
Yeah,
Coach, welcome back.
thank you.
Um, Couple things. I know people are dying to hear, our thoughts on the end of the Jaguar season and things like that. I do want a couple things. Congratulations, sixth region coach of the year for the second year in a row.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I think that's your third all-time coach of the year award.
Yes.
And you've got a lot of coaches out there vying for that position, and you're voted on by your peers, Coach.
Yeah. Yeah. We submit everything, and the other coaches in the region vote for me, and I mean, I couldn't. You can't do it without the kids, obviously.
100%. Yes.
And but what it boils down to is when you put your kids in that position to make it to the state tournament, that means you're doing something. And
Correct.
I'll be honest, there's a lot of people early in the season with our injuries and with the young kids we had,
Yeah.
and that they weren't expecting us to even get out of the region.
No, and I want to dive deeper into that, and we will here in a moment. Maya Merrill, sixth region player of the year,
Yep.
Coach. Once again, huge accolades for her. 500 strikeouts as a Jaguar, and tacked on quite a few after the fact. But yeah, so congratulations to Maya. She's committed to Cedarville University.
Yep.
I know we've mentioned that. Peyton Arnold, your other senior, also all region team as well, committed to Bellarmine University. And then, a couple other players that I would be remiss without mentioning. Allie Strebel, all region team, one of your super freshmen
Yep.
that really filled a big hole left by your senior last year, Dakota Burke, in center field, that
Yes.
went to Transylvania, absolutely ripped it up.
She did.
Freshman of the year in the conference.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be said there. And then Ava Reinhart, your shortstop. Um, all great athletes that deserve what they received, and some more that didn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So congratulations to them, Coach. I just wanted to tell you personally, congratulations. Um, it's a huge, once again, we talk about culture and things, and I think yes, the kids make the plays on the field, right?
Yep.
But I have to say, we were at spring break and we were at 500 or below 500. And we played a good Harrison County team, definitely a beatable game.
Yep.
And we got run ruled before we left by Henderson County. Probably the first time I know in my tenure as a Mercy parent that it's happened. I mean, they are a fantastic ball club. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to take anything away from them. But, leaving spring break, you hadn't really figured anything out.
No, I mean we still had. Well, I mean, I was pitching freshmen on spring break too.
Yes.
My pitchers, Olivia Kobank didn't even come back, get released until the
Yes.
end of the season.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm sorry. That's where you spent the entire day off going through everyone's swings because I think, and you said it. People out there say your player's approach at the plate is the problem. I think what we decided, or you, not we, you decided was is they were reading a little too much into the mechanics themselves.
yeah, reading a little bit too much in their mechanics, worrying about their mechanics too much,
Mm-hmm.
and also, as I dive into it a little bit deeper since then,
Mm-hmm.
and start looking at some things that they're doing, a lot of them are leading way too early with their lower halves.
Yeah,
And so that's gonna force you to pull off of the outside pitch if your
correct.
lower half is already engaged. So I've been diving with that in them here recently in their lessons and making adjustments with that. Um, but after spring break, we made some adjustments. We worked on some things, and the last 8, 9 ball games of the season, it was clicking.
It was
It
a
was
completely
clicking.
different team. And, I also have to mention, you as a coach over the last season and a half and then the second half of this season, I think you have, and we've talked about it a little bit, coach, the players in this day and age are a little different.
Yeah,
And you've kind of had to shift a little bit of your coaching style.
I have. Um, I have. I have a little bit. Yes. I've never been that guy that gets excited about things that I expect you to do.
Yes.
And I've learned that, hey, you got to tell those kids, you got to walk up to them and put your arm around them and say, hey, great job, kid.
Yes.
And because that's where we're at now.
Yes.
These kids, that's what they have to have.
Mm-hmm.
And, back in the day when I grew up, you had a football coach in your face,
Mm-hmm.
probably with a big plug of Red Man in, and your face is getting sprayed with chewing tobacco, just ripping you.
Yeah.
And you dug in and you kept working.
Right.
Your dad, and you go home and cry to your parents, and they're like, work harder.
Yeah.
Nowadays, these kids, they need that love and that recognition.
Yeah. And I think so. And I'm not saying because over this last week and a half, and we'll get into Mercy's final game, but we'll segue into this. My inbox has been filled up with the, allegations and people at other programs, and you hear about, verbal abuse of players,
Yeah.
and you hear about, kids, wanting to give up the game that they love, as a junior and a senior in high school, um, because they just can't take the constant, passive aggressive type behavior from some coaches out there.
Yeah, but I think you know I think some of them are a little bit more over the top than others.
Yeah.
You know, and I've heard some of the allegations and rumors. When you tell a kid to get your bat and get up there and bat because I'd rather see you strike out than her.
Yeah.
When you tell a kid shit like that, or sorry, crap like that in front of the other team, then
Correct.
what are you really doing?
Right. What are you promoting? And I think about the same way like you, coach, is how we operate in the real world as parents.
Right.
Your boss would never come. I assume most of us wouldn't work for someone that came in and said, if you don't get this report done, never mind, forget it. I'm going to have him do it because you wouldn't do it right anyway. So forget it.
And I really don't care how he does it either.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so would you work for someone like that,
Right.
right? I mean, are
Yeah.
these the life lessons that we want to see, right? Because we want to grow the game. We want to see as many teams, we want to see kids playing, we want to see the rec leagues flourish. Because it's just so important for what that brings the high school game along. There's only so many kids that can devote the full travel life, right? There's some kids, at 10 and 12U that will be great rec players and can be a role player on a high school team.
Yeah.
And if we run them off, at 12 and, 10 and 12 and 14 years old, I think it's setting a bad precedent to keep that funnel going. Because looking back, I look at like different high school teams and they're filled with Fern Creek and Germantown kids. They're filled with some Linden kids and some J Town Strike kids, and man, that was just such an important time
Yeah.
uh, in our sport, and it has shifted. But I think it's up to the coaches in these travel teams that can be so competitive in these ring tournaments and things like that
Yeah.
to make sure that these kids still have a good time. That it's okay to put your arm around them.
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing that because you made comments to me throughout the year numerous times on little things like, Coach, I saw you out there at third base clapping and
Yes.
fist pumping and
Yes.
things like that.
Your
So
emotions changed.
yeah, so a lot of that is I used to coach really intense.
Yeah.
I was really intense and passionate, and man, I just especially high school, I just
Mhm.
wanted to win. I want, but
Yes.
at the end of the day, when I sat back on it, it doesn't matter how intense I am.
Right.
I'm not playing this game,
Correct.
so I just have to let them play the game
Mhm.
and me manage the things that I need to manage, like the
Mhm.
pitch calling and moving the runners on base and
Yes.
things
Yes.
like that. But at the end of the day, I can't change the outcome of this game.
But one thing that I noticed, Coach, and um, is when you brought your intensity, and I don't mean it like that, but you said the word, but when you brought, and it's not bring your guard down, but when you started to be more engaged at third, I think good things started to happen at the plate.
Yeah,
And I think it just goes to the type of player that
yeah,
we have now in
yeah.
2024.
Right. Yeah,
I don't think it's a you thing, and I think we see it with other teams that got knocked out early, right?
yeah,
Maybe their philosophy is not so much of the, you know, the no, third base, the coach JB of the past where you might have been a little more quiet at third.
yeah.
And now you're, three balls you're clapping and it was a different and it was a change. And I think that, us even as parents, we evolve as our parenting of our kids because I've probably told this story on the podcast before, but my wife was ready to kill me at a tournament once. It was an all-star tournament at Germantown. My daughter played for Fern Creek. She got moved to second base, and a ball went between her legs.
Hmm.
And coach, I was standing at the first base line, and I let her have it. And I know I've mentioned this before, but I was so embarrassed after the fact. First of all, my wife let me have it too, as I rightfully should. Um, but I learned and I evolved and I changed as a fan and a parent to let it's okay to because I make mistakes every day in the workforce.
Yeah,
It happens,
yeah.
right? And sometimes we just need someone to pick us up.
Right.
And I think that was the big change is, it's okay. You make an error, it's going to be fine. You're going to let them know it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But
Oh,
I,
well, I
I
mean, but at the same time, I think before, yeah, I used to probably walk by the dugout and be smart aleck about, oh
right.
yeah, you know, don't get out on that one and miss it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But now I walk up to them and say, hey, look, got to get the glove down.
Yeah.
We got to approach the ball or get that drop step or get the hip open and
Yes.
get to the ball to
Yes.
where I'm talking to them and coaching them through it more than, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just keep going out there missing balls,
Yeah, but
you know.
see, even coach, even me as a dad, I've done that to my daughter. That's my evolution as a parent was, she would have a bad game, and instead of trying to lift her up, I would say great strikeout as a smart aleck remark. And it's just the type of kids we have today.
It is, and to go back to uh, one of the teams we played in the regionals, and I'm not going to name them, but there was a girl playing shortstop, and the ball was hit, and she missed it,
Yeah.
and the coach in the other dugout says he yells out and says, "Hey, great job fielding that ball." And I looked, and I was like, "Is that what I used to sound like?"
Right.
I literally thought that. Is that what I used to sound like?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she's already upset that she missed the ball.
Correct. Yeah.
And, so yeah, us coaches, we have to learn to change and evolve because these kids are changing and evolving.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different time.
Yes.
These kids are completely different. They're so ingrained in their phones and TikTok and watching videos, and they don't even know how to hold a conversation
Yes.
uh face to face.
Correct. Like I'm Madison, if you're watching, I love you. But she won't call you.
No.
She'll text you. And so it's and here I talk to JB, at least once a week, and we do the podcast together, and we hit with him once a week, and so I see him, quite often, and it's just the type of it's the cards we're dealt right now, right?
Yeah.
And it's up to us, not only as parents but coaches,
Yeah.
to make the change. And is it bad? I just think it's the sign of the times that we're in. And these young athletes, coach, and this as well. They are ingrained in this sport 365.
Yeah.
They should be working and doing things, and always playing in the summer and fall, and there are breaks in between, but they're constantly in the game, and they're moving, and they're trying to get better. And so I think and I don't want to call it a softer approach, but I am going to call it a more positive approach. And I think what I saw in the last half of the season uh, was great, because I can tell you, and I might have already said this, is this Mercy team, there was no chance that it was going to make the state tournament when we were in Florida. I would have gave anything for us to go play Boyd County and lose, just for us to get back to the state tournament. Now, granted, we did.
Yeah.
We lost a tough one, but I think now we understand. You've gone to the state tournament, coach, 2 years in a row. Haven't been able to get a run on the board. You faced a great Greenwood team
Well,
last year.
we got one on there this year.
I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah.
And you got one this year.
Yeah.
And so I know, like, your point of emphasis is going to be, when the going gets tough, we've got to score some runs.
Well, again, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
With the way things are now, these kids need that positive reinforcement. They need that. But my question to them is after the game, is how do I find that pit bull in you?
Yes.
How can, when you walk to the plate and you step in the box, how can I know that there's confidence that you're going to drive the ball?
Yeah.
So before we went to the state tournament, and I'll just throw this out there, I sat down and I asked them all, raise your hand, answer the question, raise your hand. I said, if we're in a tight ball game and there's 2 outs and we got a runner at third and I need you to drive the softball, how many of you all right now can raise your hand and tell me you're completely confident that you could step in there and put the bat on the ball and drive it somewhere?
Mm-hmm.
One person raised their hand.
Got it.
It was my D1 catcher.
Yeah.
Raised their hand. So that reverts back to, it did happen.
Yes.
We had bases loaded.
Yes.
And all I needed was a shot in a gap to score 2 runs to win the ball game.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking it, because I'm telling you right now, the situation that the kid was put in was tremendous.
Yeah.
To be a freshman.
Yes.
Okay. And she's going to learn from it.
Yeah.
And she's going to be a fantastic ball player.
Yeah.
But that's a huge situation in a state tournament game. Absolutely. As a freshman to be put in.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, but coming back to my point is how, if this is the way we have to be, positive reinforcement, coaching them, but also telling them that you love them.
Yeah.
Okay. How do we dig inside and get that fire, that pit bull?
Yeah.
That
Alpha
I
dog.
refuse.
Yeah.
When I step in this box, you are not going to beat me.
And I made the analogy to a lot of people, spiking the ball after a play, getting that third out, He-Man over at second base. You had maybe 1 or 2 players on your team that do it.
Yeah.
But I think the difference is if you can convince all 9 that are in the game to get that mentality, even if it's just between the lines, coach.
Well, the thing is I think what what you have to get to, okay, is you have to get the team to celebrate each other.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you get that,
Yeah.
because listen, Patty Gasso, Oklahoma's coach, in an interview, she said, I had to do things outside of softball with this group
Yes.
to make changes to get them where we needed to be
Thank you.
to win this thing.
Because she said it wasn't a talent problem.
No.
It was a cohesion
Yes.
issue.
So
She had to bring them together.
that's right.
And find a way.
Yeah.
Probably they had a lot of alpha mentalities.
Right.
And who knows what else. I'm sure it'll eventually come out, but I'm sure there's a lot of big personalities
Right.
on that team.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great coach, man.
But you know, again, she had to make changes.
Yes.
And this is a championship coach.
It's a dynasty
right.
at this point, right?
And
yeah.
she had to go outside the box.
Yeah.
To make changes
mm-hmm.
to get this team where they needed to be.
Yeah.
So that's going to be my focus this year is we have to make a change,
mm-hmm.
but we also have to learn to celebrate each other.
Yeah.
And we have to make this thing fun.
Yeah.
You know, watch Oklahoma. Them kids get on base and they're roaring and ripping, and the dugout's up on a thing and leaning over and
coming
cheering
over the rail,
coming over the rail, cheering them on.
Yeah.
That's what we got to get to.
Yeah, and I think I think it's probably an easy fix. Yeah. I think you have some good leaders for your team next year, and we'll have all fall and winter to talk about that. But I think there is a big opportunity to seize the moment, and I think next year that is the deal, because now you're 2 years, and let's not slouch on it. Making the state tournament is a big deal.
Dude, it's not easy. I can tell you that.
And I don't care what region you're in, where you come out of. To be one of the final 16 that are playing is a big deal.
Well, think about this. Boyd County made it there this year and had never made it there in the history of their school.
Correct.
The first time ever.
Yeah.
So it's not easy to get there.
Correct.
You don't just waltz in there every year, because you don't have the same play like us. Mm-hmm. I had, out of that, my whole team this year, I only had 3 people on that field who started on the field last year in the state tournament.
You're exactly right.
3.
Yeah. The rest of your team was all new.
So the other 6 were all new.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, we can talk about it real quick. Your whole outfield, we've mentioned it. We'll go through it fairly quickly. 2 freshmen and a transfer in junior that did not make the team she was at last year.
No, she got cut off her team last year.
A sophomore, 2 sophomores split time at third for you.
Yeah.
A sophomore second baseman.
Yeah.
A sophomore first baseman that played some last year, got some time, ended up getting some this year. And then, of course, your 2 college commits at pitcher and catcher. And so, I think it's safe to say, the pieces are there. Yeah. You've got Cobank coming back. There's a lot to be excited about. And I think, you're on the right track. We talk as, you're always working, you're always building, and coaches out there, don't be afraid to change, because Coach JB has done not a 360, maybe a 180, maybe a 120, but you've made some things that have made your culture. And I guarantee it was one of the major reasons that you made it to the state tournament.
Yeah, well, I think
that's Dan the fan's opinion.
All right. But
so yeah, shout out to him. Best of luck to Assumption High School, coach. They're in the Final Four. Once again, Satterley is playing amazing. Camposano, I mean, all the girls, the field of names that we've talked about, hottest team in the 7th region, doing work down there. They've got Laurel. Is it North Laurel? North Laurel. Shouldn't be a problem. And then they're going to play the winner of South Warren and Henderson County.
Ooh, yeah.
So let's see what happens.
That's going to be a doozy.
Best of luck to them. Best of luck to all the girls at Assumption, and to all their families. I know a lot of them watch our podcast. And I want you all to know that I'm not here to speak any negativity towards those ladies or anything. You know, we when the sixth and seventh region are good in softball, it's good for the city of Louisville, coach.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, best of luck, man. And don't think there's any you know, best of luck. And I hope you guys make a good run. The game is this was going to come out on Friday. They play today at 3:30, I believe, down there. So good luck to them. And then the big win will be Saturday night at 7 o'clock. When honestly, coach, I mean, do you want to make a pick? You think South Warren? You think Henderson County?
I'm I'm going with South Warren.
Okay, I'm going with Henderson County. I'm going
Okay.
with Shannon. I'm going with Henderson County University. What I saw now, I haven't seen South Warren, so let me preface this. But what I saw from the power hitters in Henderson County, man, they were some tough players. And so, anyways, best of luck to those. Coach JB and I've got it covered, so
Yeah,
we can't be wrong.
it's going to be a
So
great
yeah,
game, but
yeah,
you know, but no, you know, our season came to an end against a pretty good Boyd County team. Now it's the end of the season,
yeah.
and we wrap up with the rest of the things that us coaches have to do, and that's collect uniforms and do one-on-one interviews
Mhm.
and book the banquet.
Yeah, I think that's
And
one of the big things that you do, coach, is you do the you know the checkout interviews or the end of season, whatever you
yeah,
call it. And you know, I think you made the comment to me this year, you know, that you know it's not like you're going into a like a briefing room or somebody's in there recording or something like that. You're going into, you know, a good environment
hmm,
that you know is safe. You can come in and you can just have that conversation one on one
right.
and throw things out on the table that, you know, hey, look, this is what I saw. This is why you know, you could get some more time if you did A, B, and C, right?
Yeah, and really that's all you're trying to give them. You know, in a nutshell, this is what I told my kids setting out there after we lost. I said, we worked hard this year. I said, but we are obviously not playing for the state tournament now.
Hmm.
So that means we didn't work hard enough.
Yeah.
So basically, going into that, I sat down at home and I start writing some things down. You know, what stood out to me to these, does so and so have trouble getting her hips open and getting her drop steps on certain balls?
Hmm.
Um, getting faster, power with her bat, driving through the ball, getting stronger. So I just write those little things down and say, these are the points I think you need to work on for next year.
Hmm.
And listen, at the end of the day, you can listen to me or you can just blow me off.
Yeah.
But I'm still the guy next year that's going to make the lineup out.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you choose to blow me off and you show up next year and you're doing the same crap that you did this year, there's always more freshmen coming in.
Yeah. 100%.
So, again, you're going to put the best nine out there.
Yeah.
So if there's somebody that pops in, you chose not to do no work or get stronger or whatever with your game,
Hmm.
and there's somebody that shows up that you don't even know about, and all of a sudden they're balling out, you can't be mad.
No. No.
You can't be mad about what opportunity you get if you didn't put in the work.
Right. 100%. And I think we talked about it and we've mentioned it a lot in podcasts is, you know, whatever you're doing, you need to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
You need to start holding yourself accountable for that. And, you know, maybe sometimes when you don't want to make those swings in the basement or out in the living room or whatever, you know, you think about that loss. You
Yeah.
think about how that feels and whatever. And you know, maybe it will transcend into a different mentality. And I think, you know, coach, you're on the right track. You've got a lot of great ideas for next season. I know one of the major things that you're doing is you're making some additions with a volunteer or
Yeah, we're
two.
bringing in. We got Maddie Strebel, who was a great softball player at Holy Cross.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we played against her a couple years ago, and she hit a home run off of us down at Ulmer Stadium.
Yeah.
Um, she had some college offers, and she chose to just go to college.
Yeah.
and she wants to get into coaching. She's going to work. She's going to coach with me on this summer on my Freedom team, and she's going to be a volunteer coach. Obviously, she can't be a paid coach because she's not 21 yet.
Yeah.
So she's going to come on the coaching staff and help out and work with the outfielders a little bit. And
Yeah.
so I think that's going to be a great addition. And I'm still working on one other
Yeah.
coach. I don't know if it's going to happen yet or not, but
Right.
we're working on it. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's just
Um,
great to see from a parent standpoint, people wanting to come into the program, wanting to be involved. I think adding a female to the staff is a huge get for you. Having a competitor like Maddie Strebel was is going to be huge for you in many ways. So I'm super excited to see that, and I think it just goes to show, the program is ever evolving and ever changing, and I think it's just a huge spot, and it's great to see.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see that it's evolving and it's growing, and good things are happening. We're down there at the state tournament, and I walk off, and uh, my AD says, "Who were all those kids in the bleachers lined up down there with Mercy shirts on?" And I was like, "Oh, those are all the seventh graders, eighth graders now that are
Yeah,
planning on coming here." And she's like, "Wow."
yeah, huge
So I mean,
class.
and they followed us all year long. Like they
Some of
were
them,
at
some of them
some
went
of
to
them were at
Florida.
every game. Went to
Yeah,
Florida,
yeah,
came down to Florida to watch us
yeah,
play. So
yeah,
these kids are chomping at the bit to get
yeah,
there.
yeah. And it's great to see it. And it's another shame that they can't play. That's a big thing. You see some of these schools out there that get the eighth graders and seventh graders can go ahead and get them in your program. You know, Even if it was just for practice or open fields or something, it
Right.
would be a great change. And I hope, you know, because I know part of the ideas were years ago at St. X to start having a seventh and eighth grade in the high school.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was to start funneling those kids into the school now, let them start getting involved with athletics at that age to make sure they get the proper coaching.
Right.
Because let's be honest, right? Some of the CSAA things that are out there are maybe a little subpar. Not everyone, okay?
Right.
Not every team, but I'm just saying some of the coaching out there in those schools aren't the greatest, and it would be great to see that for those kids to be able to come into the program and to be part of it. Now, I know you and I have talked about it and we've spitballed about it and whatever, but it would be a great change to see those kids be able to be involved in a little bit younger of an age. But it is the nature of the beast at the moment.
Yeah. But also on that same topic, to help these kids out, we have to sit back and we have to take a look at what situation we are joining or we're getting involved in on the travel ball side.
Right.
You know, I know of a kid who is a pretty darn good pitcher, and she's in the facility pitching with Asia the other day, and Asia says, "So how'd the weekend go?" And she says, "Well, I only got to pitch 2 innings." Asia said, "All weekend or one game?" She said, "No, all weekend." And she goes, "Why?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, we got 5 or 6 pitchers on our team." First off, this kid's not getting enough reps.
Yeah.
Okay, so and Asia looked at her and said, "You're not going to get better that way.
Yeah.
You got to do something different."
Mm-hmm.
And so we got to start looking at situations that are going to help our kids get where they need to be.
Yeah.
Yes, is it great that we want to be on this team or in this organization or whatever? But why in the world would you want to go there and your kid's only getting 2 innings, and doesn't get to bat because they bat the whole damn roster, which is like 17, and they may get 2 or 3 at
Yeah.
bats
Yeah.
the whole daggone weekend
Right.
for what you're paying?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And why, there's a lot to that. But yes, going to Georgia, going to Florida, going to wherever for those things to get at 12U to get 4 at bats or 5.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you got a pitcher here
or
who's
4
pretty
innings or
daggone
2
good.
innings.
If
Yeah,
she goes the whole weekend and may have thrown in 2 innings, maybe, I don't know, 35, 40 pitches,
correct.
and you're done.
Yeah, and so how can you how can that make you much better? How can you.
But as a coach, how do I even justify that, man?
That's true. Yeah,
I couldn't go home and, like, I'm that person. Like, I don't carry that many on my travel ball team.
right.
So, like, how can I know I'm taking these people's money
Yeah,
and I'm only letting their kid pitch 2 freaking innings?
yeah,
Like, come on, dude. People got to wake up,
yeah.
because the stuff that goes on that I hear about in my facility all the time
Hmm.
about these organizations, about all this money you have to pay,
Hmm.
and these kids go out there and get crapped on every weekend.
Yeah,
Oh, well, I don't get the bat because I'm a pitcher. You're a pitcher at 12
yeah,
and you don't get the bat. The
correct.
craziest thing is that I got a kid that comes in, she's 9, and her coach uses her as a pitcher only in 9U.
It's
Are we not our job in 9U to develop these kids?
right.
Why are we doing pitcher only in 9U? Do we want to win the ring that bad? That $7 ring?
Yeah,
You got to have it that bad? What are we doing out here?
yeah,
And then that bleeds into, because they don't get better and they don't get better and they don't get better,
hmm,
then they're behind when they get to high school.
yeah. And you never know, coach. Maybe they'll lose that passion for pitching. They'll have to move to a fielding position, and then they haven't batted, in 3 or 4 years. That's a problem.
That's
That's a problem.
huge.
And I think yeah, it's that's a tough one in a weird situation. But it's us as parents. It's our job to make sure that we advocate for our daughters,
Yes.
and to make sure that we put them in the right position to be able to be successful. Because if we're just picking an organization or a club because of the name, and we
or
don't
because
know,
or because of all the facilities they have.
yes, right, or if we're just doing it because they play in the Scenic City and they play in the PGF National and they play in the Firecracker, those sort of
Yeah.
things. Um, it's a tough one. My favorite part about the Freedom Organization being on Coach JB's team is we get 2 weeks off during the Firecracker. We are not going. There is no way we're going
No,
because it's dead period.
that's right.
Thank goodness.
Yep.
And I mean, at the end of the day, it's a great problem for me as a parent because I think by that time we all need breaks and whatever. But it's a good time to spend family and everything else. But
Well, it's a good time to get vacation in.
yeah,
Recharge your batteries.
yes,
Because kids that play high school and do make it to the state tournament, that's an extra 2 weeks.
oh, absolutely,
Tacked
yeah,
on there.
yeah,
3 weeks actually
yeah,
tacked on there,
yeah,
and that makes for a long season,
it
man.
does,
And then like I had one of my players. We finished up, and the very next day she was on a plane flying to meet her travel ball team and play.
yes.
You know,
There's a
so
lot.
I
There's a
think
lot.
it's
Breaks are good.
breaks are good.
Yes,
You got to recharge the
and
batteries.
don't forget, there's a couple great websites out there for all the college camps that are out there. Make sure you go through and look, especially as parents, what colleges would be a good fit for your daughter or where they want to go. Find out when and where their camps are, and try to go to those camps that are not only run by the university or universities, and stay away from those you know, at our level, right? These big companies that have you're better off to stay local if you can or stay to that school itself's camp. And most of them have them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know Sean's been pumping all his stuff out now, PGF, all his things that are going on,
Yeah.
and they're getting ready to amp up. So jump on
And
that. They're having,
he has some of the best camps out there. I saw that Art's going to be at quite a few of his camps with Spalding this year.
yeah,
Two great people, two great staffs. to learn from. If you just want to get your feet wet in a camp, contact Art at Spalding or Sean at Transy
Mm-hmm.
and ask them, if your kid's never done a camp, right? You're a freshman parent. What do I do? Where do I go? That type of setting for you is ideal. Let them go in, get their feet wet, and then two great approachable coaches that, you'll go down to Transy, see Sean, see his pugs, see all of his dogs out there. You can see Art at Spalding, probably one of the greatest people around here that is a great supporter, not only of our podcast, but talks to us and really supports your teams and your players.
Oh yeah, they both
Yeah.
called me on the phone. I mean, I'm on the highway after we lost there in Lexington, driving home, and my phone rings, and Sean's calling me, and hey, keep doing what you're doing, man. People are taking notice. You're a great coach. Tough loss, but you just keep doing what you're doing. So that made me feel pretty good. He's a good friend of mine, and he does it right.
Yeah.
Art does it right.
Yeah, they have camps out there that are not going to break the bank.
Right.
They understand, and Sean will be the one to tell you. That pays. That's how he affords his staff, and he'll be the first one to tell you.
Right.
That's how he makes sure that he has everything. But at the same time, he is actively recruiting at his camps.
Yes.
I.e., Dakota Burke, who played for you. There's I'm sure there's thousands of other things, but they are looking. Like they're not just come give me a check, baby, and thanks for coming.
Yeah.
They will give you feedback. They will talk to you. But I think it's a great starting point, especially for freshmen to be parents. How do I get started in this? Right? Look at Spalding University. Look up Sean at Transylvania. Those are two great resources right there. And look at one of their camps just to kind of break your ice for your young daughter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And look, they'll sit and talk with you too.
Absolutely.
And they'll give you the rundown on, you might want to do this or you might want to do that.
Correct.
And they're both good at talking to the kids at the camp.
Yes.
And telling them about the recruiting process.
Yes.
The things that they look for and the things that they want to see when they're tagged in posts or they're emailed, and they're really good at putting that information out there. So that is a really good camp. Those are really good camps.
Another
really
good camp, June 17th, Monday, 17th and 18th, Mercy Academy.
Yeah.
Youth softball camp. Mercy, I think it's mercyjaguars.org or com. I'm not sure, but
mercyacademy.com.
Okay.
And then go to,
I think it's actually on the home page. Like it's like
should
camps,
be on the home page.
Camps, find softball coaches like 50 or 75 bucks. I think it's a 2-day camp. They
10
get a
to noon.
They get a shirt.
They get a shirt.
They get to, all your players will be there.
Yep.
They, get to learn from coach. You'll do what? Hitting, fielding, outfield, infield, pitching. You'll do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And it's a great way. Not only if you're, have questions about Mercy, come out, see the facilities, let your daughter get on the field, and then also learn some stuff.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a great hitting coach there. You're going to have some great fielding people, and you're going to have a team that made the state tournament there to help your kid out. So it's a great thing, and it's great for the athletic department.
Yeah. So, and it's fun for the kids too, man. There's going to be lots of snacks and.
Oh yeah. You're going to have all kinds of food, snacks.
They do it up. The girls do it up right.
Yeah.
They're really pumped up about the camps.
Yeah.
They love it.
Last thing, Coach, into the season. I know we're running a little long, but you do a banquet.
We do. I got to start working on my banquet.
How does that run, Coach? So you invite everybody in the program, right? Parents, kids.
Oh yeah. So what I do is I'll make a phone call, and I got to get all my awards ordered.
Yeah.
So I got to do that the next couple of days. Usually I try to get my banquet done before dead period.
Yeah.
But they're telling me they may not be able to get all my awards done by then.
Okay.
So we may be shooting for after dead period, which is fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter when you do it.
Yeah.
But once I get all that done, I'll reach out to the parents and say, hey, here's what we're doing. This is what night we're doing it on, and yeah, dude, it's so
It's a
because
celebration, right? I
yeah,
mean,
dude. I mean, they get to see their kids get their awards.
mhm,
You know, I give out the offensive award, the defensive award, the
mhm.
most improved. I mean, I give out really nice. Like I spent a lot of money on the awards
Yeah,
at the end of the year.
don't tell your wife. I
Well,
won't
my
tell her.
athletic director is always like, "How much did all this cost?" Because I mean, I had trophies and
It
plaques
is a
and
little bit ridiculous.
crystals, and
It's
I mean, it's all
ridiculous.
kind of stuff. But I do it upright for my girls,
Yeah,
and but yeah, you know, you got to do it like that so that the parents get to see
yeah,
this is what we paid for. This is what
yeah.
they did all year because
Dropping off and
we
picking them
don't get to
up, and
sit and watch them practice every night.
no,
But this tells me
yeah,
that my kid worked
yeah.
hard, and
Coach
I'm proud
JB
of her.
still has close practices, but he
Yeah.
doesn't close off the banquet. He lets everybody that wants to come
Oh yeah,
come. Like, yeah,
bring aunts, uncles,
yeah,
grandpas,
yeah. It's not
grandmas.
like, hey, drop your kid off here, and if you don't want to come, don't come.
Right? No, and I would never, I would never uh,
I mean, it's
do
a
a
time,
banquet
right?
with just just my players.
Isn't
Like
it a time
who
to
would do
celebrate?
that?
Isn't it a time to celebrate the season? Like, isn't that why you do it?
Yeah, that's exactly why you do a banquet.
Otherwise, hell, just excuse me, just call a spade a spade. I don't know, but um, my phone is absolutely blew up this week, and thank you to everyone that has called and reached out to me about so much going on out there. Some things right now I don't feel very comfortable about speaking on. Maybe in the future we will. Um, Anxious to see what happens. A lot of kids are transferring from teams, and it's a lot more involved than just a kid um, coach leaving for because it's borderline in a few instances sad, and so I don't want to harp on it, and I don't want to make a big deal about it, but I do want to say that if you are in a situation as a player that you are worried and feel attacked, and first of all, if you don't get any help from your athletic director, there's a problem. And two, don't be afraid to reach out to your parents and talk to them as a player,
Mhm.
because some of the things that I've heard in the last few weeks are awful, and it makes me as a parent thankful that I'm not saying this because you're sitting here, but to have a program like you and Coach Larry, that I know I never have to have that worry.
Yeah, and you know, also you said it earlier, and you said it best. We have to advocate for our kids.
Yeah,
If there is someone out there doing something, um, whether it's verbal abuse or what have you, I am not going to sit back as a parent and
no,
allow it to continue.
correct.
There is going to be an issue here,
Yes,
and it, hopefully it doesn't go the way the OJB would be. Is it would probably go pretty bad.
yeah,
But you know, you can't. I would never allow that,
yeah,
and you got to get that under wraps.
and
And
so yeah,
if you don't get help through the school with that situation, there are more avenues to take,
yes, yes,
and you better be doing it
yes,
because we don't want to see kids being pushed out of a sport that they love and enjoy.
and that is the number one thing, and that is what I heard from a lot of kids that are transferring, is if my daughter did not leave the toxic program or programs, that she was probably going to give up a sport that she's played since she was 7.
Yeah,
And so that's why I'm not trying to make light of the issue. I know we kid about the transfer portal and all that, and it is to a degree, right? um, but let's just say this, that hopefully a lot of these kids will be in a much better place, and in a month when all the dust settles and everything, we'll get into it more in a later episode.
yeah, and yeah, absolutely, and hopefully, you know, that place they really sit down and take a look at that situation.
Yeah,
So hopefully someone takes a look at that situation. When you see a mass exodus like you're getting ready to see,
yes,
someone's got to sit back and scratch their head and go, "What the hell's going on here?"
right. There's a lot to be said.
Yeah.
Mercy Camp, make sure you check it out. Monday, June 17th, Tuesday, June 18th, 10 to noon. Sign up on the Mercy website. You can also talk to Coach JB, reach out to him. All his information is on the Mercy website. We would love to have you, or call the school. We are so happy to be back. I know you were hoping for us to talk bad about anybody out there. It's not the plan. New podcast. We're staying positive. But thank you to all the parents and friends out there that have called and emailed us. And make sure if you hear news or something that needs to get out, make sure you do reach out to us, because we are here for these kids, for the girls. We want to make sure that all the stories get told. And so thank you. Thank you to all of our listeners. Coach, I had people reach out to me. I had no idea listening to the podcast. And so it's great to see.
Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out. One of Assumption's old players was in the facility last night pitching.
Yeah.
Reagan Gibson.
Yeah.
So she jumped in the transfer for.
She
portal,
was at Southern
USI.
USI. Yeah.
Okay, so that was another situation where there was some mistreatment and abuse.
We got abused at the camp.
So she decided to leave and put herself in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And she's going to play for our buddy Sean. At Transy.
Yes.
He got him a good one, dude. I'm telling you right now, she's a flamethrower.
Yeah.
The other one I want to give a shout out to was my buddy. And again, I've never met the guy, and hopefully one day we will.
Yeah.
Is Les at Backtracks.
Yeah.
He kept up with us through over half of the season, all the way through the state tournament.
Yeah.
He just texted me again today and said, "Congrats on the Coach of the Year, man." I hope to meet this guy.
Yeah.
Like, I only talked to him over text. He's got a good product out, hitting product. And, for him to just keep track of us it makes me feel pretty good.
Absolutely.
And he complimented our videos and the way we do that and how top notch it is, and showed it to his daughter's coach down there, and everybody raved about it. And
Kevin Steyer, contact us. We'll give you his info. He's actually going to teach a game changer class this summer.
Yeah, but thanks, Les, for supporting Mercy.
Yeah.
And me and
our
podcast.
Yeah.
And
it goes a long way.
It goes, other people, Bone Saber people, that supported us throughout the year, and unfortunately, we've kind of moved away from the bat because it just didn't hold up.
It did not hold up. It's a summer bat. It's just not for our climate.
No.
And I think that's safe to say, but we gave it a try.
We did. It's just in March when we play our games. It's just too cold.
We're kind of on that Team Mizuno. I don't know. We'll talk about it next week on the podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching Softball Talk. Thank you for sticking with me and JB. It's a sad day for the Jags, Coach, but man, what a turnaround. You were at 10 and 11, or 11 and 10 and 11, I believe, and made it to the state tournament. Reeled off some big wins at the end.
Yeah, future's bright.
Future's bright, man. Go Jags. Good luck to Assumption Rockets. We will see you all next week on Softball Talk.
Yep.